My name is Matt Adelberg. I'm a 23-year-old teacher from Baltimore, Maryland, and painter from Baltimore. I've found kind of painting and teaching to be a way of making sense of my life and the world, and I'm looking forward to teaching more and facilitating experiences that help other people make sense of the world. Similarly to Caravaggio, I start by painting the surface pretty dark. I don't use black, but I use a very dark brown. And I kind of pull the light with a rag and with brushes and struggle to try to pull the light out of the dark. So there's not a lot of preliminary drawing. It's a lot of just kind of figuring it out in the underpainting. I paint people, primarily figures, some portraits, but mostly figures and how it relates to ideas of mortality, morality, faith, trying to make sense of the world around you. So a lot of my paintings are about myself in some way, even though a lot of them might not seem like they are. But, they're essentially about trying to, find the good in everything and pull that light out of the dark.
And I think the quote was basically said that in our world today, we're so wrapped up in knowing that we're living like an echo of the life that we could be living, like a shadow of the life we could live. Because we spend so much time thinking and knowing and not enough time feeling. When we're painting and when we allow ourselves to feel, we're getting in touch with the life that we could be living.
I think it goes back to when I was a kid. My dad was a pretty violent guy and was in and out of my life, in jail, out of jail. Went to jail permanently when I was, I guess, in ninth grade. And right around that time, my grandfather also died. My grandfather was kind of like my father figure. And so these two figures leaving my life really created this vacuum where I really needed to figure out who I was. Because no longer was I like my father's son and all of the victimness that came with it. And no longer did I really have the guidance of my real father, my grandfather. And I kind of had to figure it out. And so a lot of things was very serendipitous happened that year that caused me to start making art again. And I wanted to give back and facilitate kind of experiences for other people that helped them do that. I was really, really lucky to have incredible art teachers who gave me those experiences and those opportunities that have led to me, like, as a poor kid in Baltimore, being able to travel around the world, paint with, people I've looked up to my entire life. And I wanted to kind of try to give those experiences back.
That's what life is. Dude, you don't ever figure it out. You just become more used to living questions and not knowing.
So, I grew up hating religion. I had to go to Hebrew school. I had to go to get a bar mitzvah. I had to do all these things. I hated it. So, a pretty long while later, the first day of school, sophomore year, I'm driving to visit my mom. It's raining. I'm coming home after class, and a guy comes into my lane and hits the back end of my car on I-83, coming up to Reisterstown from downtown, and my car spun out and hit a concrete wall going 50, 60 miles an hour. And in the hospital, I had a doctor, and I wear this Star of David thing that my mom had given me when I was bar mitzvahed. And the doctor in the ER is trying to talk to me, and obviously I'm very scared after this car accident, and I'm a kid, I'm in college, and we had to go do a CAT scan for my body just to make sure everything was good. And so he tries to take the necklace off, and I kind of freaked out, and I was like, I need, please, I need it. I think part of it was because it was my mom had given it to me, and she wasn't there at that moment, and I think that idea of faith kind of came back to me in that scary kind of second. And the doctor took it off and he put it in my sock, and he was like, hang on to this because I don't know why you're not more hurt than you are. Yeah, so even the name of the series, that's inspired by a letter, and the entire series is inspired by a letter. And the title of the series was how my father ended a letter to me when I was 16 years old. And it was extremely important how he ended it. That's the first time in my life, which is pretty ridiculous to say, but it's the first time in my life that I ever remember him saying, hey, I love you. And that was my 16th birthday with a card from jail, So he was always sending these letters, probably one or two a year. I never answered any of them, I haven't talked to him since testified against him when I was in 9th grade. These letters had a lot of meaning to me, and I can't really tell you why, even to this day, but like, because I hated him, man. Hated him more than probably anyone in this world. This whole series was about trying to make sense of my relationship with my father while he's in jail, and it was also kind of about healing, bringing a sense of closure to my childhood and the violence that he had brought to it. And so by painting these letters, I'm kind of just like getting them out. Like, here are these letters that are kind of occupying my head all of the time. Let me just paint them.
Which brings me back to, you can't hate your way into loving yourself. Telling yourself that you failed won't make you successful, right? It seems like a really simple thing, but it's not that simple. Telling yourself that you've failed at something will not make you more successful. Okay? Each of you are enough just as you are. You should remind yourselves of it every single day.
For some reason, when we talk about art making, specifically, in the classes that I'm teaching, painting, we forget that art is a language, just like speaking, just like it's like a foreign language class. But that's it. It's just a vehicle. It's just a means. It's not the end. It's not the end goal. It shouldn't be, at least. And if you lose sight of the fact that you're trying to make meaning in everything that you do in your life, I think then life becomes very dull. And painting should be that thing, in my opinion, or art making in general should be that thing in your life that you go to escape from that kind of dullness and that kind of mathematical way of thinking. You shouldn't be looking for happiness, because if you look for it, you're not going to find much. But what you should do is you should search for meaning in everything that you do. And then that kind of brings happiness in to your life.